Her story began in a quiet small town in the United States where days passed gently and nights felt soft, but inside her heart there lived a silence that had grown heavier every year. Her name was Evelyn Grace, and she had always believed that life would eventually become brighter, but instead it kept slipping into routines that offered no joy and no meaning. She woke up early every morning, walked through familiar streets, prepared her breakfast, and sat near the window watching the world move while she felt stuck in the same place she had dreams filled with colors, music, travel, and laughter. But the years slowly dimmed her light, and she found herself living for others instead of for her own soul. People around her saw her as a calm, kind, quiet woman, but they never noticed the hidden exhaustion behind her smile. She gave her time to everyone, she listened to everyone, she supported everyone, but she never gave anything to herself. And every night when she lay in bed, she felt a deep ache inside her chest, as if her heart kept asking, when will you choose yourself? Evelyn felt like she was slowly disappearing into a life that did not belong to her. She moved through her days like a gentle ghost, doing everything right yet feeling nothing inside. She wanted change, but fear wrapped around her like chains, fear of failing, fear of disappointing others, fear of starting over, fear of being alone, until one morning the sunrise touched her face a little differently. The sky was soft pink, the air was calm, and something inside her shifted. She felt a quiet whisper inside her saying, you deserve a life that feels like your own. You deserve peace, you deserve joy, you deserve yourself. She held her warm cup of tea, sat on her old wooden porch, and breathed slowly, listening to that voice. Even though it scared her, she knew it was the truth, becoming stronger, becoming impossible to silence. She looked at the trees, the sky, the empty road, and she felt a strange pull inside her, a pull toward a new beginning. She did not know what that beginning was. She did not know how to find it. She did not know where to go. But she knew she could not continue living a life that felt like a cage. And for the first time in a very long time, she allowed herself to believe that something better was waiting for her. She stood up from her chair, walked inside her home, and looked around at the memories, objects, and routines that kept her tied to the version of herself she no longer wanted to be. She touched the walls, gently remembering old days, old pain, old silence. And she whispered inside her heart, I want to live again. She did not have a plan, she did not have confidence, she did not have guidance. But she had a spark, a tiny spark of courage that refused to die, and that spark began to change everything. Throughout that morning she cleaned her space slowly, carefully removing what no longer felt like her. She opened windows, letting sunlight and fresh air fill the room. She began a small but powerful journey of choosing herself in little ways. She washed her face with calmness. She tied her hair with softness. She moved slowly with intention. She picked up a notebook and wrote her feelings, thoughts, fears, hopes. And as she wrote, she felt herself breathing freely. For the first time in many years, she realized she had been living like a shadow, and now she wanted to become whole again. And as she sat there writing, her heart opening quietly, she had no idea that this was the moment her entire destiny had begun to shift. And this was the moment that would one day change everything for her forever. And while the story continues, this is the point where your audience begins to settle into the emotion and the rhythm of the story. So exactly 1 minute after the video begins, you can place your channel intro naturally right at this emotional calm space, and the intro will be like this. If you are enjoying this story, make sure you subscribe to my channel US Brave Her, press the bell icon, and leave a comment to support more powerful stories. Thank you for being here. Now we continue with the journey that will soon transform her life completely. Evelyn woke up the next morning feeling a little lighter inside, a feeling she had almost forgotten. She stepped out of bed slowly and looked around her room, noticing the quiet softness of the early light. She felt something new, something calm, as if her heart was trying to tell her that change was finally beginning. She walked to her small kitchen and made herself warm tea, holding the cup gently between her hands. The warmth felt like comfort, something she had not felt in years. She sat by the window, watching the world outside slowly come alive, people walking their dogs, cars humming softly. The world looked normal, but inside her a new world was opening, one she had small moment. She brushed her hair, wore comfortable clothes, and stepped outside for a morning walk. The air felt fresh and carried a soft breeze, touching her face like a reminder that life could feel gentle again. She walked past houses she had seen many times, but today everything looked different, or maybe she was looking differently. For the first time she felt present. She felt awake. She felt like a small piece of her was returning. As she walked, she thought about her past, the years she had spent trying to be everything for everyone except herself. She remembered the days when she swallowed her own emotions to keep others comfortable, remembering the nights she stayed awake trying to please people who never truly understood her. But she also remembered the quiet voice inside her, the one that whispered, "You deserve more," and that voice was growing stronger with every step she took on the sidewalk. When she returned home, she cleaned her space slowly, carefully removing things that reminded her of old hurting memories. Each small change felt like taking back a part of her life. She opened curtains, letting sunlight fill the room. She moved furniture. She placed flowers in a glass jar. She sat on the floor for a moment, breathing deeply, realizing how unfamiliar peace had become, and yet how welcome it felt. She spent the rest of her day gently focusing on herself. She made food that filled her with warmth. She listened to music that made her smile a little. She read pages from a book she had bought years ago, but never had the time or energy to open. When evening came, she lit a small lamp and wrote in her notebook, writing about her feelings, writing about her fears, writing about her hopes. She wrote slowly, letting every thought flow freely, and for the first time she felt her own heart speak clearly. She wrote, "I want a life where I am not lost. I want a life where I matter. I want a life where I can breathe." And when she finished writing, she closed the notebook with a soft breath, feeling a sense of relief, a sense of beginning. As she prepared to sleep, she looked at her reflection in the mirror, not with sadness, but with curiosity. She wondered who she could become if she kept choosing herself. Every day she walked to her bed, lay down under her blanket, and felt something she had not felt in years. She felt safe within her own heart. She felt hopeful, and she drifted to sleep gently, carrying that hope like a small light inside her, a light that was only beginning to grow. Evelyn Grace stepped into the next chapter of her journey with a quiet strength that grew brighter each day. She had already rebuilt her heart, her routine, and her purpose. But now life was opening doors she never imagined. She felt a new kind of courage inside her, a courage that was calm, steady, and full of hope. She woke up early every morning, stepped outside her small shop, Grace within, and breathed in the cool air, feeling grateful for the life she was creating with her own hands. Her days were filled with warm conversations, supportive women, and gentle moments that reminded her that healing was not a destination but a continuous path. She welcomed every woman who entered her shop with kindness and understanding, and slowly her shop turned into a safe space where women could rest, speak, and feel seen. Evelyn listened to their stories, and each story reminded her of how far she had come. She encouraged every woman to take one step at a time, to choose herself again, to trust her own heart, and to believe in the quiet voice that whispered for change. One evening, as she prepared to close her shop, the setting sun painted the room in soft gold, and Evelyn felt a wave of peace. She never knew peace could feel so full and so alive. She sat by the window watching the streetlights flicker into the night, and she felt a quiet calling inside her, a calling to grow beyond her town, beyond her comfort, and beyond her fears. She wanted to take her message further. She wanted her story to reach women across the country, to remind them that choosing yourself is a powerful act of courage. So she began writing again, filling pages with reflections, lessons, and the truths she had learned during her transformation. Soon her writings became the foundation of a small workshop she started hosting. Every week women gathered in a circle, sharing their hearts, their pain, their dreams, and their strength. Evelyn led the sessions with a soft voice, guiding each woman to find her own courage. Her sessions became popular, and people began inviting her to speak at community events, schools, and women's groups. Evelyn felt nervous at first, but she reminded herself that fear was just a doorway to growth. So she stepped through it and spoke from her heart every time. And every time she did, her voice grew stronger, and her confidence grew deeper. The world around her began to shift, just as her inner world had once shifted too. She traveled to different states, meeting women from all backgrounds, listening, supporting, and inspiring them. Her story spread across cities and online communities, reaching thousands of women who saw parts of themselves in her journey. As her audience expanded, her purpose became clearer. She understood that she was not meant to whisper her story only within the walls of her shop. She was meant to speak it into the world loud enough for every woman who felt lost, alone, or exhausted to hear it clearly. One morning, she stood on a stage in front of a large audience. The lights were bright, and the room was silent, waiting for her words. Evelyn took a slow, deep breath, placed her hand over her heart, and spoke her truth. "I chose myself, and it changed my whole life. And you can choose yourself too." The room filled with emotion. Women wiped their eyes, some nodded with understanding, some held their hands together tightly, as if holding courage inside themselves. Evelyn spoke for an hour, sharing her journey, her pain, her healing, and her growth. And when she finished, the entire room stood up, applauding with warmth and admiration. She felt tears gather in her eyes, not out of sadness, but out of gratitude. Gratitude for the woman she had become, and gratitude for the women who trusted her with their own stories. Later that Night, while sitting alone in her hotel room, she looked out the window at the glowing city. And she felt a powerful truth settle inside her. She had turned her courage into a light that reached far beyond what she once believed was possible. And she knew this was only the beginning. The next morning she returned home inspired, motivated, and ready to take her mission to the next level. She expanded her shop. She created online programs. She started guiding women across the world through live sessions, messages, and heartfelt lessons. And with each passing day her life grew richer, fuller, and more meaningful. But even with all her success, she never forgot her roots. She never forgot the morning she whispered, "I choose me," and how those 3 simple words reshaped her destiny. She continued to live with grace, with purpose, and with courage, always reminding herself that she was still growing, still learning, and still evolving. Evelyn Grace stepped into the 3rd chapter of her life with open hands, ready for every new challenge, every new journey, and every new woman who needed her light. Her courage continued to guide her forward, shaping her future, strengthening her spirit, and reminding her that choosing yourself is the beginning of every beautiful transformation.